This is a brief overview of the fair value hierarchy. We've talked about fair value a lot this semester. By now you're very familiar with the idea that we record initial entries at fair value, and in this chapter we're going to use fair value in our subsequent measurement as well. But what we haven't really talked about is where the fair values come from. How does a company decide which fair value to use? Are there any rules that provide the financial statement users with assurance that the company isn't just making stuff up? Because that could happen. Well, yes, GAAP has rules for fair value. In fact, there is a hierarchy of 3 possible fair value sources that a company looks to, and GAAP requires that the company use the fair value from the lowest fair value hierarchy level. Here's some more detail. Level 1 fair values are those that are easily found using quoted prices in an active market. These are the most highly verifiable values to use. This means that they are the easiest to audit. If I ask each of you to individually take a minute and look up the closing price of Amazon shares on December 31st, 2020, you would come back with the same number, except for some possible human error. Okay, that number, by the way, was $1,847.84. GAAP says that if level 1 is available, then it must be used. You will often hear that companies using level 1 values are marking to market when they report their assets at fair value, meaning they adjust the value to those level 1 values. Level 2 fair values are those that are from quoted prices in an active market for identical or similar assets, or in absence of an active market in inactive markets. The use of the word quoted is to let you know that this value is not coming from within the company just for this report, but is instead an actual price offered for the purchase or sale of this asset. Identical or similar is just what it says. An active market refers to one where trades happen regularly and surrounding the reporting date, while an inactive market would be one that trades less regularly. The bottom line here, if you don't have a level 1 fair value for your asset, but it is easy to identify a very similar asset for which there is a level 1 fair value, then use that as your level 2 fair value. GAAP says that if level 1 is not available but level 2 is available, then it must be used. Level 2 is still highly verifiable, but not quite to the degree as level 1. Here, if I ask each of you to individually come up with a value for the asset, there would probably be some slight variation in the values because you have to use judgment to determine identical or similar. Level 3 values are those that come from unobservable and significant inputs that reflect management's own assumptions about the assumptions a market participant would use in pricing the asset, including assumptions about risk. That's a lot of assumptions. What this means is that in this situation, management has used models to estimate the price. These are often very sophisticated models, and often the company is paying a lot of money for them, either by hiring highly skilled econometricians or by paying a valuation expert to come up with the values. Level 3 values are much less verifiable because they rely upon unobservable information. By definition, an outsider can't see the inputs used to come up with the price. If I ask each of you to individually come up with a value for the asset, you would come up with many different values because you would each make your own assumptions about the best way to come to an answer, and it would be hard to argue that any one value was better than another. GAAP says that you can only use level 3 values if you have no other choice. You will also hear this one called mark to model. So there you go. Now when we talk about using fair values, you have an understanding of where they come from.